maybe if I'm there, I can stop him from finalizing it. And maybe if I'm there, then I can sort of say, well, let's not make any decisions today.
Listen, it's not going to change what our relationship, ours, has been for years. Nothing's going to change.
Do you promise?
Another day, another Reddit post that really got me thinking. I swear, you guys, nobody goes deeper into these sister wives lore than Reddit sleuths. I came across this title, "This is why Robyn pushed so hard for Meri to stay." The topic of how important these spiritual marriages were to Robyn came up, which I have talked about a lot on my channel, and why Meri's was the best case scenario for Robyn, which I absolutely agree with. To take the argument of this post a little further, I would add that I think ultimately Meri finally getting a release from Kody was more of a middle finger to Robyn than to the husband that had emotionally checked out on her and his religion a long time ago. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get into today's video. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. All right, I want to start off by reading this Reddit post, which, like I said in the intro, is titled, "This is why Robyn pushed so hard for Meri to stay." The original poster states, "They mentioned in previous seasons that the way they raised the children as one big family is very unusual for polygamists. We know that Robyn comes from a family where her dad split time between his wives and that her mother didn't interact much at all with the first wife. Christmas is a good example where she explains that they would celebrate Christmas a few days after because he was spending real Christmas with the first wife. That's what Robyn was hoping would happen with the OG3. The fact that she keeps harping on about Vegas being something beautiful while the other three talk about how the separation from the rest of the family and Robyn and her kids started happening there illustrates this. That's why she was so desperate for Meri to stay, because in Robyn's eyes, she was the perfect sister wife, someone who her husband discarded completely, which plays into her need for superiority, someone who stayed in her own house and mostly stayed away, so Robyn could have Kody all to herself, someone she could play with and manipulate whenever she felt the urge to have a bit of drama, and someone who brought in money to the family pot so that she could have a bigger pot of money to spend. If there are no sister wives, there's no one to measure yourself against to make sure you are always getting the most of Kody's attention. I have so many thoughts about this post. The first half, where the original poster talks about what they feel Robyn's real intention was for Las Vegas, I will circle back to that in just a second. But for the second half of this post, I feel like I have echoed a lot of these sentiments in previous videos. When I was in college, I was in sorority, and there was another sorority that anytime we all had to get together for conferences or something, if that sorority agreed with something or if they wanted to affirm something, they would snap. This second half of this post had me nodding and snapping all over the place. As far as Robyn hoping for Vegas to be something beautiful, over on the Shit Talk podcast, which I highly recommend, by the way, they just recapped the July 4th rebellion episode, and honestly, this group of people did such a piss poor job of blending families. It is actually astonishing. We've heard reports from a lot of the kids, and I think Janelle even confirmed that at one point, essentially, all of the kids were sat down when Robyn was coming into the family, which coincidentally was the same time they were about to put all 12 going on 13 of their kids on reality TV. The kids were told to sit down, shut up, this is how it is, accept it, and oh yeah, you better be on your best behavior or else. Well, in this July 4th rebellion episode, Robyn is bitching a lot about the bullying her kids are experiencing and how, gosh, if they don't get this under control, Kody, her kids could choose to live with their biological father. Oh no. So what ends up happening? The OG kids get berated on camera by Meri, aka Kody's enforcer. Janelle and Christine are sitting in the couch interview that episode being like, actually, the bullying was the OG kids' way of accepting Robyn's kids into the family. Now, regarding bullying, I feel like as a society, we have evolved on our acceptance of bullying, and that in general, that is a big no-no nowadays. And I'm glad it's being called out more and more, and that we are teaching our kids to be accepting and tolerant of other kids. For example, I tell my kids, you don't have to be friends with everyone, but you do have to be friendly, and you never poke fun or point out something about someone that they cannot change. All right, I will step off my soapbox now. But the point being made here to Robyn was like, hey, Robyn, these kids are treating your kids like they do all their other siblings. The fact of the matter is the Browns went about blending Robyn into the family all wrong. Kody had already married all three of his wives, Meri, Janelle, and Christine, before any kids were born. So this is the only life all of Kody's kids knew for 16 years. It's completely unrealistic and unfair to just expect that these kids will just say, boom, these are my new siblings with no pushback, especially when you're throwing so many other changes their way at the same time. Putting a camera in their face, making their polygamous life super public, then moving them to Las Vegas. Teenage angst is to be expected, and honestly, it's completely warranted here. I don't think any of us are watching the OG kids in these early seasons and thinking, wow, these kids have really bad attitudes for no reason. No, we all felt super bad for them, especially Hunter. As far as Las Vegas goes, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do think that the cul-de-sac was ultimately the best setup for the parents because it gave the mothers their own legitimate autonomy. They didn't even have to share walls. However, most of the OG kids have recalled that the multi-home Lehigh house was their favorite living situation because that's where they all grew up really as full-blown siblings. And that never included Robyn and her kids. Robyn could never really blend her kids in with the OG kids because she spent all of her time separating them and othering them. Now let's dive into this second half of this Reddit post that I couldn't agree with more. Why Robyn was pushing so hard for Meri to stay.
I was up at the bed and breakfast this past weekend, and it needs me.
What does that mean, Meri?
So it means, and it's all coupled with everything else that's been going on and the statements that Kody has made to me this year, that I probably won't be renewing my lease here. I'm not saying anything about this property because my intention has always been to build here.
And then just, it's like a temporary sort of situation.
I don't know.
Okay. Meri is saying that she needs to move. What I really want to do is just say, no, please don't do this.
To revisit what the original poster stated, quote, in Robyn's eyes, she was the perfect sister wife, someone who her husband discarded completely, which plays into her need for superiority, someone who stayed in her own house and mostly stayed away so Robyn could have Kody all to herself, someone she could play with and manipulate whenever she felt the urge to have a bit of drama, and someone who brought in money to the family pot so that she could have a bigger pot of money to spend. If there are no sister wives, there's no one to measure yourself against to make sure you are always getting the most of Kody's attention. I have been saying all of this on my channel, and I even talked about the fact that technically Robyn is still winning polygamy because in the eyes of the AUB, the religion that Robyn still very much subscribes to, even if Kody doesn't, Kody is still eternally sealed to 3 women, and that gets her into, say it with me, folks, Bloomingdale's heaven. I definitely agree with this Redditor when they post that Meri was the perfect sister wife for Robyn. Robyn wished all of the OG3 had always been just like Meri. Shut up, accept your sacred loneliness, and just maybe you will get to live in the stockroom of Robyn's Bloomingdale's heaven. In the earthly meantime, she will obviously need all of your money and resources in order to fund her earthly lifestyle, so thank you very much, and no need to drive any more checks over Meri. Wire transfer will work just fine in the future. Kody doesn't have earthly marriages with any of his wives anymore except for Robyn. But technically, he is still spiritually sealed to Janelle and Christine. Janelle and Christine thus far don't seem to care very much about this. Well, we do see Janelle ponder the possibility of seeking a release, and boy, I hope she does, because that would have huge ramifications for Robyn. And all the way at the end of my video, when I finally get to my point, I know we all love a long-winded answer. I think Meri's release was more of a middle finger to Robyn than to Kody, because she knew these spiritual marriages mattered more to Robyn than they ever mattered to Kody. I mean, it's really unclear where Kody stands on what he thinks will get him into the highest levels of the celestial kingdom these days. But what he does know is he doesn't give a shit about being around Meri, Janelle, or Chrissy now or in the hereafter. I do think Kody probably was really irritated in real life that Meri got her release on the basis of abandonment. I fully believe that. But I don't believe he actually cares whatsoever about his marriage with Meri being spiritually severed. But will Meri's release spark a domino effect? This could definitely make for interesting drama, in my opinion, for future seasons. We already see Janelle pondering getting a release. Robyn is not cut out for Walmart anything, certainly not Walmart heaven. So she needs Kody to stay at 3 spiritual wives. And right now, Robyn has the best polygamous setup. Kody is spiritually married to 3 women as a technicality, but Robyn gets to live monogamously, so she doesn't have to deal with jealousy. And Kody has shown his willingness to literally dump all of his kids too, so Robyn doesn't have to deal with the messiness or potential messiness of blended families anymore. So yeah, I took this Reddit post a step further, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you think Meri's release was more of a fuck you to Robyn or to Kody? Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Check out my second channel, Sarah Spills, and my podcast, Mostly Harmless. Links for both of those will be in the description of this video. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, X, and TikTok at Reality Squad, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.